There's some significant changes coming to ISAs I want to go over today because they're going to impact millions of people. I want to go through what they are, when they're coming in, and also give you some of my thoughts about what I think about all of this sort of stuff, because it's a pain in the hoop, isn't it? All these changes. So first of all, from April 2027, ISAs are going to change. Biggest change that we've seen in a long time. First of all, the amount that you can put into them is going to change. If you're looking to put into cash ISAs, that is going to be capped at £12,000 per year. You can still put the total £20,000 into an ISA wrapper, but only £12,000 into cash, which means that you have to put the remaining £8,000 into investments, stocks and shares ISAs. Now, I get that for a lot of people this won't impact them, because who can afford to put £20,000 into an ISA? But it is adding more complexity, more change, and it is putting more barriers in front of people in order to try, in my opinion, to put them off doing what exactly the government is trying to get them to start doing. You can choose any combination that suits you at this point, as long as you don't go over the £12,000 cash. So that means you could put £10,000 into cash, £10,000 into stocks, or any mix thereof, so long as the cash proportion doesn't go above £12,000. Now, if you are over 65, this is not the case. And I think that is a glimmering shine of hope that we have in here, because obviously a lot of people that are retired are wanting to have access to cash. They don't necessarily want to be in the market. They want to get those guaranteed returns, 3-4%, just about matching with inflation or whatever it is. However, if you're under 65, you fall within these £12,000 thresholds. Any money that you've got in cash ISAs from previous years will stay protected under the current guidelines. So that means that you're not going to get capped at £12,000 per year on previous year's allocation. So if you've maxed out £20,000 cash into a cash ISA every year for the last 10 years, that's not going to impact you. It is from April 2027 where these changes are going to come into play going forward. There's going to be no changes to junior ISAs, both cash and stocks and shares, which is great. I think they are one of the greatest gifts that you can give your kids. Look back on my previous videos. I'll put a tag here actually. I've gone over junior ISAs before. It's a tool that I use that's basically going to enable my kids to have a house deposit, and there's not many people that are going to be able to do that in their mid-20s come 10-15 years time, I don't think. Now, the big change that has been announced recently is tax. They're going to be taxing your ISAs, but let's be very specific around how this is going to work. ISAs have always been a tax wrapper, protected completely from tax no matter what you do within it. All of the gains from investments, all of the dividends are tax-free. You don't need to declare. You don't need to tell HMRC about it. You don't need to put a self-assessment in. They're all tax-free. They're yours to do what you want with it. The point of selling and taking out, tax-free. Obviously, the money that you've put in has gone through income tax already, so you'll have either lost 20, 40 or 45% of the money that's gone in already because of tax. And as a result of that, it has been one of the greatest wealth building tools that exists for our generation. I liken it to property in the 70s. Right, this is our version of property in the 70s, a stocks and shares ISA. Not only has it been great in terms of tax protection, the markets have been great over the last 6 or 7 years. You're talking double-digit growth on average over the course of the last 6 or 7 years. High double-digit growth as well. But one of the things the government are looking to try and do now is tax a very specific part of your ISA. This is how it's going to work. So the cash that you hold within a stocks and shares ISA, not within a cash ISA. So if you are wanting to try and get around that loophole whereby you can only put £12,000 into a cash ISA, if you wanted to put £20,000 into a stocks and shares ISA and hold it in there and get the interest on that cash, which most brokers do. Most brokers pay a pretty competitive return between 3-4%. Some of the best returns in the market can be found by holding cash inside stocks and shares ISAs and getting a return on that. Now what they're looking to do, again from April 2027, is tax that interest. So a tax on the interest that you make from holding cash in a stocks and shares ISA. And this is going to be at variable rates, starting at 22% for a basic rate taxpayer, 40% for a higher rate, and 45% for an additional rate taxpayer. So if you're putting money into a stocks and shares ISA, holding it as cash, getting those gains from April 2027, they are going to be taxable. Now that also means that you're probably going to have to fill out a self-assessment. There is probably no other way around it, which means you are now having to do extra admin as well. If you're going to do this and you're going to have to pay additional tax on money that you've already paid income tax on, don't forget, that is going to be sitting in there and is going to be generating taxable income going forward. And I just think, we'll get into my thoughts in a minute. But one thing I want to say is stocks and shares ISAs are not changing. Those gains on your stocks and shares ISAs will not change. If you are getting returns from the market, you're invested into all world funds, S&P 500, individual stocks, whatever it is you want to be invested into, those changes won't impact you. And the broker that I most use is Trading 2&2. There's a link below. If you use that and sign up and deposit £1, you'll get a free fractional share as a result of doing so. You can also add promo code Neil and you'll get exactly that. It's a commission-free broker. You're getting a free share to get started. It's a bit of a no-brainer. It's one of the best brokers that there is out there. So what they're effectively doing is putting a piece in place whereby you cannot get round that. Now this for me is working more with a stick than a carrot. Right, the government are saying they desperately want more people to invest, but they're going about it completely the wrong way. It is already overly complicated using, opening, running stocks and shares ISAs, cash ISAs. And I get this from a lot of people. You know, I've had a lot of views and I see the questions that are coming in and people just do not understand how they work. Less than 15% of people in the UK use stocks and shares ISAs, right? This compared to the US where over 50% of people are invested into the market, there is a massive gap there. And that gap is because of education, it is because of complexity, and it is because of people being scared of losing their money. They are making it more complex now as a result of this, and they're using a stick rather than a carrot. This is not going to incentivize more people to invest. They're not putting any education pieces in place to go alongside this that are going to help people understand how the stock market works. They are just finding another way of taxing us. That's effectively what we're seeing. I saw this comment on LinkedIn today, which is interesting, from Daniel Priestley. If you don't follow him, he's an entrepreneur in the UK. He's made a lot of money, but he has been very critical of the way that the UK government has operated. We're entering the problem with socialism is eventually run out of other people's money phase. So they've run out of easy targets. They're basically coming for everyone else. Money is running out for them. Right? They want to try and generate more income, and they're trying to find more and more different ways of doing it. And I don't know how much this is going to generate. It's not going to be significant, but it has upset a lot of people. Now, I know that we've seen massive inflation over the course of the last few years, and we've seen the cost of living crisis. But this is not the operation of a government that I think has your best interests at heart. And I'm not saying it's this government. I'm not saying it's the last government. I'm not saying it's any government. I'm an apolitical person when it comes to my channel. But what I am seeing is serious, significant mismanagement of the taxes that we are paying. And it wouldn't necessarily bother me so much if the taxes that I am paying are improving the quality of the UK, the infrastructure, the network, NHS, welfare, whatever it may be. But all of those things seem to be going down while taxes seem to be going up. Have a look at HS2, right? I've just looked into the numbers this morning. HS2 is now 6 years late, right? It was supposed to be done by 2033. It's now going to be 2039. 6 years late. It was supposed to cost £37 billion. It is on track to cost £102 billion. I think it will be more. That was going to end up being 3 times the original budget. £44 billion has already been spent on HS2, and it will cost every taxpayer in the UK, you and I, £3,600. Everyone watching this is going to pay £3,600 in order to facilitate the creation of HS2. And what's it going to do? Knock 15 minutes off a journey from Manchester to London? It bloody blows my mind. At the same time, we've got a massive wealth gap growing in the UK over the last 10 years. This article, it's a couple of years old now, bear that in mind, so it's going to be much worse than that. But have a look at this. Between 2011 and 2019, the average UK householder's wealth grew by £4,000, according to new analysis of official statistics that we at the Fairness Foundation commissioned recently. So those in the poorest 10% of households continue to have no wealth at all. Many are in debt. By contrast, the average person in the top 10% of households was £280,000 wealthier over this period. It's a stark contrast, and we found that overall the wealth gap in the UK has grown by 50% over those 8 years. Like I say, it's a couple of years old now, so it's going to be bigger. That is going to be bigger, no question about it. I'll tell you why it's going to be bigger, because the markets have gone up. They went up 30% over the course of the last year, and those in the bottom 10% in the UK are not buying all world funds. They're not opening stocks and shares ISAs and investing into the market. They might be opening cash ISAs, and now they're going to get taxed on that. We're going after the poorest 10% in the UK. That's what differentiates the wealthy from the poor. Wealthy learn and know about assets, and they buy assets, and those assets appreciate over time. Hence why £280,000, the top 10%, their wealth has grown by. The poor don't know how to do that, and they're not going to know more how to do that by introducing a tax in a tax-free wrapper. It is completely counterintuitive. It absolutely blows my mind. I have no idea what's going on with this. The worrying thing for me is this the beginning of a precedent. They start by taxing the interest on cash that you hold within the stocks and shares ISA. That sentence alone is already complicated and most people won't understand what it means. Beyond the sort of people that are watching this content, where does it end? Then they start taxing your investments. Oh, it might only start at 1-2%, and then it increases year on year on year. And all of a sudden, a stocks and shares ISA becomes completely irrelevant. You might as well have a general investment account. I honestly fear that that could be the direction that this sort of stuff goes in. So listen, hopefully you can see that I'm pretty passionate about this, and I'm really rather annoyed by it. But let me know what your thoughts are below.